Hi, Kia listeners. Let's Learn Sumo. I'm Clayton. Welcome to the podcast. Let's talk about day 2 and 3 of the London Sumo Tournament. Don't forget to join me on Instagram and X at Let's Learn Sumo. Also on YouTube, where this is restreamed in audio. The occasional video episode is uploaded. I've got a few more coming. Don't forget, I have a Kimboshi fund where you can donate to my little fund. Buy me a coffee. You can see it on the Instagram little QR code. You can donate if you really wish to, if you like my content. Just helps me pay for some of the subscriptions and things that keep this sumo channel going. London, day 2 and 3. Look, don't take this tournament too seriously. It's an enjoyable little tournament. It's not what I would say performative. It's not too set up. I'd suggest you would enjoy it for some light sumo with a couple of good matches. I would think that most of the Rikishi have been told, fight the Yokozuna, but don't beat them whatever you do, because we want them to be undefeated on day 5. Anyway, look, let's have a look at day 2 and day 3. Couple of fights from day 2. Takeda Fuji and Shodai on day 2. Shodai, he tried for a grip off the tachi-eye, but Takeda Fuji went for the big thrust and drove Shodai to the bales. Oshi-dashied him over. It was an interesting fight. I quite like this because Takeda Fuji showed he's got a little bit of power back. His biceps not troubling him, so that's a good thing. Daisho and the veteran Sadanumi. Daisho came out thrusting fast. Sadanumi got a double inside with his back to the bales, forced Daisho to the ring and over the bales Yorikiri. Daisho unfortunately let Sadanumi onto his belt. Tsurunumi and Mitakayumi. Mitakayumi, remember, former Ozeki, almost made Yokozuna. Mitakayumi came out chest thrusting on Tsurunumi as Tsurunumi went back. Tsurunumi defended and drove Mitakayumi back to the bales. As Mitakayumi was on the bales in defense, he pushed, but Mitakayumi had a double belt grip and just pivoted and pulled Tsurunumi over and around and out over the bales. It was a really good move. You would see that in a normal tournament and think that's a pretty good move. Ura and Fujinokawa on day 2. Look, Ura is super popular at this tournament. It's a fairly educated crowd. They know their sumo. They understand that Ura is the entertainer. Anyway, look, Fujinokawa and Ura, they banged heads off the tachi-eye. Ura used his arms to keep Fujinokawa at bay, just kind of pressed away, kept him away. Eventually, Fuji went in close. Ura got his head under Fujinokawa's armpit, caught Fujinokawa's arm, twisted around and almost pulled a judo arm throw on Fujinokawa. Fujinokawa went over and out. Kei na hineri, arm twisting throw down. A very judo move, that one, and worth a watch. Midori Fuji and Takanosho. Takanosho just came out pounding with Oshi, pushing and thrusting as Midori Fuji went back to the bales. He kept defending instead of trying to go to the side. This is emblematic of what my criticism of Midori Fuji of late, in that he's not using his lateral movement, his fast movement, his smaller size. And Takanosho just thrust him out over into the crowd, Tsukudashi. So again, Midori Fuji, someone needs to give him a bit of a slap on the back of the head. Wakamoto Haru and Roga on day 2. Roga got a good inside belt grip, tried to drive Wakamoto Haru around the ring. Wakamoto Haru went back to the bales. He defended got himself a one-handed grip. Wakamoto Haru pushed a really good, strong bale defense, turned the tables on Roga as he got control, marched Roga back and over. This match had a little bit of issue to it. They've never faced before, so I think Wakamoto Haru really wanted to test how he could fight against the strong Russian and get a bit of a go at him. So that was an interesting one to watch. Had a bit of feeling to it. Atami Fuji and Hirodumi. Hirodumi went hard for the front belt grip, drove Atami Fuji to the bales, couldn't finish him off. Atami Fuji got himself a one-handed grip, used his weight to pressure Hirodumi back over the bales. Yorikiri. Hirodumi kind of probably made a mistake there of going chest to chest with Atami Fuji. He's just much bigger than him. Uh, On to Aya Nishiki. Now, it's always interesting to watch everyone fight Aya Nishiki. Everyone's trying to beat Aya Nishiki in this tournament. It's not a setup. They are really having a go at him. Onakatsu on day two, they locked up. Onakatsu tried to use Atami Fuji's method of holding Aya Nishiki up with his one hand on Aya Nishiki's shoulder, trying to get him a little bit upright. Aya Nishiki then tried to use his hand to Uchimuso Oshoma, but Oshoma's legs just did not move the whole time. But eventually he drove Oshoma, got him stood up, took him to the bales and over. Aya Nishiki, another win. Onosato and Gonayama, look, as I said, the Yokozunas, everyone's been told don't beat the Yokozunas. It's pretty clear. But Gonayama, he came out with a really big set of chest charges on the Yokozuna. Onosato has pretty much just stood and absorbed everything this tournament. He hasn't driven forward like he would normally do in a tournament. He caught and just absorbed Gonayama again and again. Eventually, he caught Gonayama on the belt, drove him out. Onosato just took the hits and stood there like a wall, basically. On to day three. Look, the early matches were what they were. Ura and Shonanumi. Ura thrust twice at Shonanumi, then drove forward and ended up in front of Shonanumi. Shonanumi got a grip, holding him from behind. It was a funny grip. Ura got his right arm and then pivoted and really drove his head under Sho's right armpit. The Gyoji then held them up for a Mawashimata. Ura's belt was coming apart. So he just made sure they were both tied up. Then he got them going again. Ura was in the position with his head right up under Shonanumi's right armpit, had a left hand on the belt. He pulled forward, drove Shonanumi up and behind, and then went down backwards for the tu tezori, the forwards body drop, they call it. It's a really, it is his stock in trade. Great move. The crowd appreciated it. Might have been a little bit set up, but either way, it worked well. Onakatsu and Oshoma on day three. This fight was a really good belt battle between these two. I think they haven't really or if they fought before, they've really made a go at trying to get dominance over each other. It's seesawed back and forth until Onakatsu got the edge and forced Oshoma over the bales, Yorikiri. That was a pretty good fight. Aya Nishiki then faced veteran Sadanumi. Aya Nishiki and Sadanumi, they locked up with inside-outside belt grips. They pushed and pulled, looking for dominance. Aya Nishiki had a left outside and right body grip on the inside. Aya Nishiki almost forced Sadanumi over the bales, but he recovered. He then persisted, and it was just a really good move by Aya Nishiki. He really just did some very, perhaps what I'd call orthodox sumo, and forced Sadanumi to the bales and over. Sadanumi resisted, but he couldn't stop it. They just cannot beat Aya Nishiki at the moment. Takayasu Mitakayumi. Takayasu came out firing with Sapari and just blasted the former Ozeki back and over with a furious blast of thrusting. Kirishima and Tamawashi. This was a good fight. Big touchy eye. Kirishima defended Tamawashi's Nodowa attempts and then just forced him into the belt. Tamawashi really didn't want to get into the belt. Kirishima, our technician, got himself a right inside belt and controlled Tamawashi to the bales and over. He really is the technician. Wakataka Kage and Hakuoho both got a hand on the belt. They struggled for position. Hakuoho eventually turned Wakataka Kage around his belt hold, drove him to the bales and over. Pretty easy win there. Shouldn't have been easy with Wakataka Kage, but it was. Our two Yokozunas on day three, Hoshoryu faced Kimbozan. Hoshoryu drove hard off the touchy eye, got onto the belt, drove Kimbozan to the bales. The lift and throw down was a little bit demonstrative, is perhaps the word I'm looking for. Suki Otoshi. Onosato and Wakamoto Haru. Wakamoto Haru gave a pretty good account of himself, got in, drove his right hand up into the shoulder of Onosato to position him. Look, he was going for the belt. Onosato got the belt. The Yokozuna took him and threw him over again. I think Wakamoto Haru was told, don't beat the Yokozuna. Anyway, at the end of day 3, those on 3 wins so far, our 2 Yokozunas, Hoshoryu and Onosato. Also on 3 wins, Komusubi's, Takayasu and Aonishiki. Interestingly, our Sekiwakes are not on 3 wins. And also, funnily enough, on 3 wins, Tobizaru all the way down in Megashira, about Megashira 12 or 13, I think. Anyway, look, expect the Yokozunas to be undefeated and facing anyone left with 5 wins on day 5. I think the point of the whole thing is to have the Yokozunas facing each other for the tournament at the end. Look, either way, I'm enjoying the tournament. There's some good fights, a little bit of feeling in a few of the matches, particularly those who haven't met before, such as Wakamoto Haru and Broga. I particularly enjoyed Ashoma and Onakatsu on day 3. If you can find that fight on YouTube, it was a pretty good little belt battle. And of course, watching Ura anytime is good fun. So enjoy the last 2 days of the London tournament. I'm envious of those who are there. It looks like a lot of fun. So join me again. I'll do a little bit of an update at the end of the tournament. Hakiwa listeners, let's learn sumo.